Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, Today, I want to give you a little briefing on the potential for severe weather today, and then also perhaps again tomorrow. The main focus of the briefing will be today, but again, we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow. The big changes from yesterday is that the tornado risk has increased for much of the area for today, this afternoon into this evening, and there's also gale warnings issued for parts of the Chesapeake Bay and coastal waters for later tonight into Saturday morning. Before I get moving into my briefing, I just wanted to show you the latest satellite radar composite here, showing that even though many of us are in clouds, a lot lower clouds right now, and maybe even a little bit of drizzle, those clouds you can see are starting to erode from the west and northwest, and so that will allow for heating to commence, and these showers and storms that are currently far over the western part of the state will be moving eastward as the afternoon and the evening goes on, and they are expected to intensify as they reach the region later this afternoon. And again, we'll get into more of this in just a second. But I just wanted to show you the satellites. I know a lot of people are in clouds and sort of cool this morning, actually humid but cool. So just to show you that those clouds are gradually starting to break up. So right off the bat, I wanted to show you the severe storm potential for today. The entire area is under a slight risk for severe storms. Notice that further to the south, there is an enhanced risk, this orange yellow area here. But this is, don't get too hung up on having a higher risk in North Carolina versus here. We still have a risk for severe storms today, especially from about, say, 3-4 p.m. through the evening, ending before midnight. But our main threats are wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour, ping pong sized hail. There can be some decent hail today. Would not be surprised if there are a few tornadoes out there, especially in the Piedmont into northern part of our area, the peninsulas into the northern neck, do have perhaps some favorable conditions to see a few tornadoes this afternoon, so into this evening. And there is a marginal risk for excessive rainfall, so there is a chance for an isolated instance of flash flooding, especially if the heaviest rain falls over urban areas or flood-prone areas. Again, let's get into the specifics for the storm threats. And again, there's moderate confidence for this. The tornado risk has expanded eastward. This 5% tornado risk here has expanded eastward a little bit, covering much of the area, say west of Williamsburg and here in Wakefield. In reality, though, the entire area has a chance for a tornado. But again, I think this area in here, maybe again even extending into the northern neck and middle peninsula, have the risk of a tornado later this afternoon into this evening as the storms move through. In addition, the damaging wind threat, there's a 15% probability for damaging winds and a 10 to 15% probability for large hail as well for today. So instead of showing you the static image, I wanted to actually show you the timing for, wrong thing, but let me show you the timing for these storms. And again, this is about noon, 1 o'clock this afternoon. These storms that are over the western part of the state are gradually moving east, entering the Piedmont and Farmville area, between 3-5 o'clock this afternoon, and this is by 5-6 o'clock. You can see they're really starting to impact the I-95 corridor at this point. Again, that's about 7 o'clock, and then 8-9 o'clock they're starting to reach the coastline here. Still not offshore yet, but then by about midnight, for the most part they're offshore. There may be some lingering lingering storms left over in North Carolina. But generally by late this evening, we're expecting the storms to be offshore by that point. So again, really that risk area is going to risk time period is going to be from say about this is about 4 p.m. through about through about midnight, as you can see there. So that was the risk report today. Again, stay tuned for more updates from our office for that, for the severe risk for this afternoon. Through Slack, NWS chat, and social media channels, we'll definitely be sending. And if there's any important new information that we need to send out, we'll certainly send that out as well through email. In addition, tomorrow, there's after this cold front moves through, there's another potential for severe weather tomorrow. And again, with some wind gusts to 45, 60 miles an hour possible. And tomorrow, even though it's a marginal risk, I would not be shocked to actually see some larger hail tomorrow if severe storms develop. There's some uncertainty about how strong the storms would be, but if they do become severe, they do have potential to have some pretty large hail potentially. And again, those would be mainly in the afternoon hours, generally moving from the northwest to the southeast, and they should diminish soon after sunset. And here are the threats for tomorrow. Again, really no risk for tornadoes tomorrow. Mainly it'd be a damaging wind and hail threat tomorrow. And again, the idea with those storms tomorrow is that they're going to be moving again generally from the northwest to the southeast. Again, I'll show you a model reflectivity a depiction that what could happen. This is about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. You see the storms developing over the mountains, and then sort of move pretty rapidly to the southeast. Again, this is just one model depiction, but it certainly is a scenario that is possible, tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned for further updates on the tomorrow afternoon severe risk as well. The rainfall timing and chances, and I've gone over this pretty well already, but again, the core chances will be late this afternoon into this evening for rain and thunder, and then again tomorrow afternoon into the early evening hours across the entire region. Excessive rainfall, again, today there's a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. Again, these storms are going to be moving pretty fast, so I wouldn't expect significant flooding, but there could be an instance of flash flooding, especially if the heaviest rainfalls, in flood-prone areas or in the urban locations. In our rainfall amounts, again, we're not expecting terribly heavy rainfalls unless it's under a significant downpour, generally less than an inch across the entire area, maybe some locally higher amounts across the Maryland Eastern Shore. But in general, generally amounts less than an inch in most places. The frontal pattern for the next 5 days. Again, this is our main weather system today into tomorrow. The good news is that by Sunday we'll be clearing out. There's a possibility of a shower on Sunday afternoon, but by Monday and Tuesday we're going to have high pressure, and it will start to get warmer again, more summer-like, into next week. And in fact, you can see the temperatures again. Upper 70s into lower 80s, coolest this weekend and generally in the 70s, but today in the upper 70s, lower 80s, and again on Monday, mid to upper 80s, maybe even touching 90 by Wednesday. And again, you can see these, the probability of precipitation pretty low through the weekend. Again, maybe just a small chance of showers Sunday into Sunday night. Now on to the marine forecast. We have now have gale warnings in effect for all of our waters, the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic waters, mainly for late this evening, starting around midnight into the morning hours. Let's say around sunrise. Expecting wind gusts to rapidly increase to about 35 knots, maybe a little bit higher by midnight. And these gusts will continue through the overnight and then slowly diminish tomorrow. Again, it'll still be a pretty rough day on the waters tomorrow, with gusts 20-25 knots possible, even into Saturday evening. And then on Sunday, the winds are going to be decreasing. These are wind gusts, less than 10 or 15 knots. So Sunday doesn't look like a terribly bad day. Saturday, not the greatest day to probably be boating. And you can see that from our threat potential. This red means, we're expecting gale force conditions. Really, all the waters could see gale force conditions tonight, but especially these areas. Tomorrow, small craft advisories will continue into the evening. And then again, by Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, the conditions become more favorable for boating out there. But again, it could be a little rough, especially Sunday morning, but early Sunday morning. But by Sunday afternoon, the winds should decrease. And again, here's just a quick peak wind gusts expected for the mainly tonight. Again, right around gale force expected for tonight. Probability of wind gusts, again, this just shows the timing. Pretty high probability. So I do think we're going to see some, wind gusts in excess of 34 to 38 knots, 60 to 80% probability. So pretty high probabilities for gale force winds tonight. But again, it's a fairly short window, generally from midnight to 6 or 7 a.m. Peak seas, again, that would be focused on tonight with those westerly winds increasing to gale force gusts. With the offshore flow, though, the winds, at least, we're expecting maybe 5-foot waves over the ocean, 5 to 7 feet with 3 to 5 feet within the bay. But again, those should start diminishing as the day goes on tomorrow as those winds diminish, those westerly winds diminish. One last thing I want to mention before we end here is the tidal flooding. There might be some nuisance to maybe minor tidal flooding across the parts of the Middle Bay along the Maryland shoreline, Bishop's Head, Crisfield, not so much Cambridge, but Dorchester and Somerset County. Could see some nuisance to minor flooding. And you can just see that, we're just touching minor flooding at a few of our locations with high tide tonight. But again, just nuisance to minor tidal flooding, and it's really going to be just for one high tide, that happens tonight. So that's all I have. So I'd be happy to take any questions in the question bank if you have any.